Before we start, tell me where you're listening from in the comments. Maybe you're someone who thinks having more than 2 kids is irresponsible. Maybe you're wondering how anyone manages a large family in today's world. Maybe you're curious about what drives someone to want so many children when most people are having fewer and fewer. Maybe you think I've lost my mind. This conversation is for you. I have 13 children, and I want more. Not because I'm trying to break records or because I don't understand how reproduction works, but because I believe that having children, lots of children, might be one of the most important things I can do for humanity's future. Most people think this is crazy. In a world where the average family has 1.7 children, where people worry about overpopulation, where raising kids is expensive and time-consuming, the idea of deliberately having a large family seems irresponsible at best, narcissistic at worst. But I want to share with you why I think they're wrong, why I believe that having many children isn't just a personal choice but a moral imperative, why I think the future of civilization might depend on people like me having as many kids as possible, and why, despite already having 13 children, I'm not done yet. Let me start with the most important reason. The world is facing a population collapse, not a population explosion, and almost no one is talking about it. Every developed country on Earth has a birth rate below replacement level. That means we're not having enough children to maintain our current population, let alone grow it. In South Korea, the birth rate is 0.8 children per woman. In Japan, it's 1.3. In the United States, it's 1.7. You need 2.1 children per woman just to keep the population stable. This isn't a problem that's coming someday. It's happening right now. China's population is already shrinking. Russia's population has been declining for decades. Europe's population is aging rapidly, with more people retiring than entering the workforce. Within 50 years, we're going to face a world where there aren't enough young people to take care of the elderly, where entire industries collapse because there aren't enough workers, where innovation slows because there aren't enough minds working on problems. Most people see this as an abstract demographic trend. I see it as an existential threat to human civilization, and I'm doing something about it. Each of my children represents a vote for the future, a bet that humanity is worth continuing, a contribution to the pool of human intelligence that we'll need to solve the challenges ahead of us. But it's not just about numbers, it's about what kinds of children we're raising. I'm not just having children randomly. I'm being intentional about the mothers I choose, the values I try to instill, the opportunities I can provide. I want to raise children who are intelligent, creative, ambitious, and morally grounded. Children who will grow up to solve problems, build companies, advance science, and make the world better. Is this eugenic thinking? Maybe. But I don't think that's necessarily bad. We already practice selection in every other area of life. We choose partners based on compatibility, intelligence, attractiveness, shared values. We invest in education to improve our children's capabilities. We provide them with advantages that will help them succeed. I'm just being more systematic about it, and I'm doing it at scale. My children have access to the best education money can buy. They're exposed to cutting-edge technology from an early age. They grow up around brilliant people working on important problems. They see firsthand what it looks like to build something meaningful, to take risks, to persist through failure. But most importantly, they're being raised with the understanding that they have a responsibility to contribute something valuable to the world, that their privileges come with obligations, that they're not just living for themselves, but for humanity's future. I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds like I'm treating children as instruments rather than as individuals with their own rights and desires. But that's not how I see it. Every parent shapes their children's values, opportunities, and worldview. I'm just being explicit about the fact that I want to raise children who will make a positive impact on the world. And here's the thing, giving children a sense of purpose, high expectations, and extraordinary opportunities doesn't diminish their individuality, it enhances it. my children are free to choose their own paths, but they're starting from a place of possibility that most kids never get. Some people ask me how I can possibly be a good father to 13 children. How can I give each of them the attention they need? How can I be present for their milestones, their struggles, their important moments? The answer is that I don't try to be a traditional father to all of them in the traditional sense. I can't be at every soccer game or help with every homework assignment, but I can be something else. A role model, a resource, a source of high expectations and unconditional support. My children know that I believe in them, that I'm investing in their future, that I expect great things from them. They know they can call me when they need advice, support, or resources to pursue their goals. They know they're part of something bigger than just our family. They're part of a mission to advance human civilization. Is this perfect? No. Do I wish I could spend more time with each of them individually? Absolutely. But I've learned that being a good parent isn't just about quantity of time, it's about quality of influence. And I can have a positive influence on 13 children, even if I can't be present for every moment of their lives. Besides, I'm not raising these children alone. Each of their mothers brings her own strengths, perspectives, and capabilities to their upbringing. Together, we're creating an environment where each child has multiple sources of support, guidance, and love. Some people think having children with different women is irresponsible or chaotic, but I think it's actually advantageous. Each mother contributes different genetic strengths and different approaches to parenting. The children get exposed to different ways of thinking, different cultural backgrounds, different skill sets. It's like creating a diversified portfolio of human potential. People also ask about the financial aspect. How much does it cost to raise 13 children well? The answer is a lot. But that's exactly why I'm in a position to do this effectively. I can afford to give each of my children opportunities that most parents can't provide. The best schools, the best healthcare, access to experiences and resources that will expand their minds and capabilities. Travel, technology, mentorship from experts in any field they're interested in. This isn't about showing off wealth. It's about maximizing the potential of the next generation. If you have the resources to raise exceptional children, isn't it almost a moral obligation to do so? But here's what might surprise you. I don't want my children to inherit everything I've built. I want them to build their own things. I want them to face challenges, to struggle, to earn their own success. I'm giving them advantages to start with, but I expect them to use those advantages to create value, not just consume it. The goal isn't to raise children who live off my wealth for the rest of their lives. The goal is to raise children who are capable of creating even more wealth, solving even bigger problems, advancing human knowledge and capability even further. Now, let me address the elephant in the room, environmental concerns. A lot of people think that having many children is bad for the environment, that it's irresponsible in the face of climate change and resource scarcity. I think this is exactly backwards. The children I'm raising are more likely than average to solve environmental problems, not create them. They're growing up with the resources, education, and motivation to develop clean energy technologies, sustainable manufacturing processes, space exploration capabilities that reduce pressure on Earth's resources. One of my children might invent a breakthrough in fusion energy. Another might develop new materials that revolutionize solar power. Another might design the systems that allow humanity to become multiplanetary, reducing our dependence on Earth's finite resources. The environmental problems we face won't be solved by having fewer people. They'll be solved by having more smart, capable, motivated people working on solutions. Besides, the children of wealthy, educated parents typically have smaller environmental footprints than the global average. They're more likely to live in efficient urban areas, use clean technologies, make environmentally conscious choices, but more importantly, they're more likely to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Here's another reason I want more children: diversity of potential outcomes. I don't know which of my children will end up making the biggest impact, Maybe it'll be the one who becomes a scientist and cures cancer. Maybe it will be the one who becomes an entrepreneur and creates millions of jobs. Maybe it will be the one who becomes an artist and inspires people in ways I can't imagine. By having many children, I'm increasing the odds that at least some of them will do something truly significant. It's like placing multiple bets on humanity's future, each with a different potential payoff. This isn't about guaranteeing success. It's about maximizing the probability of success. I also think about the network effects. My children will know each other, support each other, potentially collaborate with each other throughout their lives. They'll form a network of capable, motivated people who share certain values and goals. Imagine what a group of 13 highly capable siblings could accomplish working together, or even just supporting each other's individual efforts. The combined impact could be exponentially greater than what any of them could achieve alone. People often ask me if I worry about sibling rivalry or competition between my children. The answer is, I hope there is some competition. Healthy competition drives excellence. I want my children to push each other to be better, to achieve more, to reach higher. But I also want them to understand that they're ultimately on the same team. They're all working toward the same goal, advancing human civilization and ensuring that the future is better than the present. Now, let me be honest about the challenges. Having 13 children isn't easy, even with unlimited resources. Coordinating schedules, managing relationships between different mothers, ensuring that each child gets appropriate attention, it requires enormous organizational capability and emotional intelligence. There are custody arrangements to navigate co-parenting relationships, to maintain logistics, to coordinate across multiple households. Sometimes there are conflicts between different mothers about approaches to child rearing. Sometimes the children feel caught in the middle of adult complications. But here's what I've learned. Most of these challenges aren't fundamentally different from the challenges that any divorced parent faces. They're just multiplied. And like any scaling problem, they can be solved with better systems, clearer communication, and more intentional coordination. I've gotten better at managing these complexities over time. I've learned to separate my romantic relationships from my parenting relationships. I've learned to focus on what's best for each child rather than what's most convenient for me. I've also learned that my children are remarkably resilient and adaptable. They understand that their family structure is unusual, but they don't see it as problematic. They see it as giving them more relationships, more perspectives, more support systems. Some people worry about the psychological impact on children of having so many siblings, especially half-siblings from different mothers. But I've seen the opposite effect. My children learn early how to navigate complex social dynamics, how to find their unique place in a large group, how to build relationships with people who are different from them. These are valuable life skills that will serve them well in their careers and relationships. Let me talk about the mothers of my children for a moment. Each of them is an exceptional woman in her own right. They're not just random partners, they're individuals I chose specifically because I believe they would contribute positive qualities to our children. Some are brilliant scientists, some are accomplished artists, some are successful entrepreneurs. All of them are intelligent, strong, and committed to raising children who will make a positive impact on the world. I respect their autonomy and their approaches to parenting, even when they're different from mine. I support their relationships with our children, even when those relationships don't include me. I want my children to have strong, positive relationships with their mothers, because those relationships will be important sources of stability and guidance throughout their lives. This collaborative approach to parenting isn't traditional, but I think it's actually healthier than many traditional family structures. Instead of children having access to just two adults' perspectives and capabilities, they have access to multiple adult mentors who each bring different strengths. Now, let me address the question that's probably on many of your minds. How many more children do I want to have? The honest answer is, I don't have a specific target number. I'm not trying to reach 20 or 25 or 30 for the sake of hitting a round number. I'm trying to maximize my positive impact on humanity's future, and having children is one way to do that. As long as I'm healthy, as long as I can find exceptional women who want to have children with me, as long as I can provide well for the children I already have, I'll probably keep having more. I'm 54 now, which means I probably have another 10 to 15 years of potential fertility ahead of me. If I have 1 or 2 children per year during that time, I could end up with 25 to 30 children total. That might sound crazy to most people, but it doesn't sound crazy to me. It sounds like the most important work I could possibly do. I know some people think this is ego-driven, that I'm trying to create a dynasty or ensure my genetic legacy, but that's not how I think about it at all. I think about it as a service to humanity. I have resources, intelligence, and opportunities that most people don't have. I can provide children with advantages that most parents can't offer. Why wouldn't I use those capabilities to create as many capable, motivated, ethically grounded humans as possible? The future is going to be challenging. Climate change, resource scarcity, technological disruption, potential conflicts between nations. We're going to need all the brilliant, capable people we can get to navigate these challenges successfully. Every child I bring into the world is another mind that might solve a crucial problem, another pair of hands that might build something important, another heart that might care enough to make a difference. Is there a risk that some of my children won't live up to their potential? Of course. But there's also a risk that one of them will exceed all expectations and change the world in ways I can't imagine. I'd rather take that bet than not take it. Let me also address the criticism that having many children is selfish or irresponsible given global inequality. Some people argue that instead of having more children, I should focus on helping children who already exist but lack resources. I understand this perspective, but I don't think it's an either-or choice. I can have more children and also support educational initiatives, poverty alleviation programs, and other efforts to help existing children reach their potential. In fact, I think both approaches are necessary. We need to help the children who are already here, and we need to ensure that there are enough capable children in the future to continue advancing human civilization. Besides, my children themselves will be assets to this effort. They'll grow up with the resources and motivation to help solve global problems, including inequality, poverty, and lack of educational access. One more thing I want to address: the question of whether this approach to family planning is sustainable if everyone did it. Obviously, not everyone can or should have 13 plus children. Most people don't have the resources to provide well for that many children. Most people aren't in situations where they could manage the complexity of relationships with multiple partners and co-parents. But I think there's a role for people who do have these capabilities to have larger families than average. If 99% of people have 1 to 2 children and 1% of people have 10 plus children, we could maintain or even increase our population while ensuring that the additional children are born into circumstances where they're likely to thrive. This isn't about creating a genetic aristocracy. It's about recognizing that different people have different capacities for parenting and allocating family size accordingly. As I think about the future, I imagine my children growing up to work on the problems that matter most to humanity's long-term survival and flourishing. Some might work on sustainable energy. Some might work on space exploration. Some might work on artificial intelligence. Some might work on biotechnology. But all of them will understand that they're part of something bigger than themselves. They'll know that they have advantages that come with responsibilities. They'll be raised with the expectation that they'll use their capabilities to make the world better. And maybe, just maybe, one of them will have insights or capabilities that help solve problems I can't even imagine today. That possibility makes every sleepless night, every complicated custody arrangement, every difficult conversation with their mothers worth it. Because ultimately, this isn't about me or my legacy. It's about humanity's future. It's about ensuring that there are enough smart, capable, motivated people in the next generation to handle whatever challenges come up. And if having 13 children and hopefully more is my contribution to that effort, then that's what I'll do. Some people think I'm crazy. Some people think I'm irresponsible. Some people think I'm selfish. But I think I'm doing one of the most important things anyone can do, investing in humanity's future, one child at a time. So, yes, I have 13 children, and yes, I want more. Not because I've lost my mind, but because I understand what's at stake. The question isn't whether we should have more children. The question is whether we can afford not to. Share this with someone who might need to think differently about family planning and humanity's future. Subscribe if these conversations challenge your assumptions about what matters most. And remember, the choices we make about the next generation will determine whether human civilization thrives